This is. Hi guys, this is Daniel Alexander Cannon here on the Supernatural Show, and today we are doing something a little different here on this show. Well, not different, just we've added an additional platform. You can actually see it in the lower corner of the screen. That's TikTok. And so on a separate computer laptop here to my left, I have TikTok live already. We've got some people showing up, and got people doing things I don't understand, like sending gifts and stuff, but we'll figure that out one day. But the Supernatural Show is not a show for entertainment purposes only. We come here to talk about many things. A lot of times it has a supernatural edge to it, meaning that it's just, well, you should know what supernatural is in general. But what we don't do is we don't argue. We can disagree, and disagreeing is fine. We just don't argue and act like a bunch of donkeys, because there's a bunch of donkeys on TikTok, and I see them on there, and I just don't engage. When people are arguing and everybody's talking all at once, there's nothing useful ever going to happen or take place. You're never going to convince anybody of anything by screaming at them. So we don't do that on the Supernatural Show. I've already got a couple of people here with me today. One is Roxy.
Hey now.
And y'all guys hear us okay on TikTok? Faith and Truth, can you hear us okay? And Ahmad Ramirez, can you hear us okay? Well, he just went away. He must be swiping.
Yep, they're going to pop in and pop out.
Yep. Faith and Truth, can you hear us okay on TikTok? But today we're going to be talking about a lot of the upcoming drills and exercises that are being run. And of course, we're not going to be able to go over all of them, but we're going to go through as like a little bit of an overview of some of the things that the people who like to run drills and tabletop exercises and those kind of things that typically precede something that very much looks just like that event. Most of us can remember Event 201, and but before we get all that going and get into everything we're going to get into, we're going to give everybody a minute or two to get here, and we're just going to have a little jam out session. I'm not sure which song I want to listen to today, but let me check a couple here.
Where's everybody from today? We're back.
Well, y'all guys, not all of you, obviously, but there's some people have to say things that are just rude. How long we got to listen to find out what you're going to talk about? I think the video has a title that says what we're going to talk about. Okay? Can't we all be nice?
That's our Friday pump up jam, Kelly.
Yeah.
We're letting everybody get here because everybody wants to hear everything. They don't want to hear it from 5 minutes in. So we give it a second. We all jam out, get our vibe up to have a good time. It's Friday.
I realize not everybody maybe likes that song, but it's one of the two main songs I use for the show, for the Supernatural Show. Thank you, Daniel. Daniel likes the song. And I realize everybody doesn't dig it, but what's wrong with trying to pump up the energy a little bit? Trying to, why do you think they sing in church? Why do you think they shout in church? They're trying to pump up the energy is what they're doing, along with other things. But it makes people feel good. And then, of course, makes me feel bad when somebody says, how long I got to listen to this before I can read the title of the video that says emergency drills, exercises planned for 2025.
Yeah, we don't talk about the most lighthearted subjects sometimes. So it's good to get our vibe up before we get into it so you're not all doom and gloom.
Yeah, because a lot of the things we talk about are pretty heavy.
We research a lot of heavy stuff. We don't ever come to you guys just winging it off of something that we heard. There's days and days and hours, months and years of researching some of these subjects to understand and know what we know. We're not just winging it off the cuff. I see you down there, Michael. You is my supporter. Whoop, whoop.
And y'all guys let us know. Some of you already started doing it, but let us know where you are watching the show from today. It also helps other people and myself, for sure myself, so I know it would help other people to know that there's people all around the world that are watching this show. So if you would, guys, put in the comments, and that includes you guys over here at TikTok, put in the comments where you're watching the show from. Like, state, or if it's not a state, maybe a country or something that kind of gives us an idea of where you're watching from. Because
we love spending the first few minutes interacting with all of you. We love it.
And when you highlight those, please, Miss Kim. And I did make a mistake a while ago and didn't mention, of course, obviously Miss Kim is here with us today.
Yes, I'm sorry.
She's in the background right over here. Let me see. Oh, there's her little head.
Hey, Miss Honeybee, I see you.
And she's here helping out. She helps with every show. She's here 95% of the time, if not more.
How is the weather in Green Bay, Wisconsin, Giggles?
Merida, Ohio, Yorkshire, UK,
Nebraska.
You posting those up? Well, keep posting them up. Mama Rages in Michigan. How you doing, Mama Rages? Giggles and Laughs in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Oh, we got Ireland in the house. I so want to go to Ireland one day.
We got Toronto, Canada in the house. We've got Lincoln, Nebraska, Monty in the house. Justin from Toronto. Snowball says, I hope you guys thought about what I had to say about cashless and cell phones the other day. I'm not sure if I've seen the comments for sure, but obviously the cell phones, they're a chain, and that's why they're calling cryptocurrency block and chain. It's simply because they're giving you the words for you to ignore of exactly what it is. Block and chain is something they put on prisoners, and that's what they're trying to get us to go into, is a prison society based on blockchain cryptocurrency and a Bitcoin, a byte coin, a byte like the bite of the serpent, and the co-in, like the reason why it's called a coin is because it's saying you're co-in on something, meaning everyone's in on that this is currency, or that this has value, where crypto value will have absolutely, truly, in reality, zero value. So I'm very aware of the dangers of crypto. The cell phone thing, it's all knowledge out of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And the cell phone, obviously, there's benefits, but it's a spy in your pocket. It's going to be the way that you're going to have to access uh, your false currency. I mean, our current money right now is fiat currency. It was been backed by the force of the United States military, basically, and it's a petrodollar, basically. It's all based on the flow of oil and energy, and all currency is based on the flow of energy. That's why the word current for currency is used in it, because it is a flow of energy, and they want absolute 100% control. They don't want us to barter. They don't want us to trade. They don't want us. They want full control, just like the Bible says. That
And I really think that's why they tried so hard to control the food industry.
Well, it's control of everything. That's why they made it so convenient and relatively cheap to go to the grocery store for all these years, and now they've got us in a corner. But where they're going to move us now, because if you don't realize, they're already closing down, forcing out of business all the mom and pop of everything. If it's not owned by a major corporation, it's got to go. That is what they're doing, is driving all the small businesses out, because they can't control a small business completely. They want it to be under their umbrella of corpses, meaning dead entities that's not living. That's why it's called a corporation is a corpse. So they want the money to be dead, not real. They want the currency, the businesses. They want the control of everything to be dead, not real, be based on death. I mean, so that's the food. You got the money. What else? Energy. First off, energy is free and available for everyone. It already exists here. Whether you want to call it the Tartarian or a lot of the old mud flood buildings, and they all have all of that technology written all over them, where it was obvious that they could run devices, electricity, whether it be lights or whatever. And then you look at bigger things other than just a regular building. You look at something like the pyramids, or the why do I always forget this word? The tall things like in the up in Washington, the pillar. Roxy.
Oh, sorry, I was reading comments.
Did you hear what I said?
I did.
What is tall things called? You know that they
obelisk.
Like, obelisk, yeah, obelisk. The obelisks are tied into energy flow as well as creation, because you need energy flow in order to get creation. This is why they try to suck the energy from us using fear-based everything. You know, they somehow supernaturally it works. Not to mention that if they can just keep us in a fear-based mind, that we can never truly figure out what's going on. For me, I take in all this information. I present a lot of it to y'all guys, and I see it from a lot of other people. And for me, I'm not going to say I can't get scared, but literally for many years now, I've been working on understanding that once you're fearful, you've already lost. You have to be able to control your emotions, because emotions are your power.
All right, this is a big thing about the frequencies. Every human being has a frequency dependent upon, you can take a voltage meter and check your own frequency. Look it up. It's on YouTube. It'll show you how to do it. It's on TikTok. Check your frequency, barefooted on the earth. Take somebody else, hold hands with them, then let go. Each one of you check it. Your frequency changed. You shared frequency for a moment. You'll level back out to what your normal is. I'm normally a 30. The person I did it with was a 70. When we touch hands, we joined together, we became a 50. When we let go, I think I was like a 40 and he was a 60, which showed you that I had retained some of whatever frequency grounding he had for stabilization. When we looked at that pyramid video the other day and they were showing you the energy fields normally run horizontal around that pyramid, they were going up.
They didn't see that.
Oh, they didn't see that part? Well, think of
But it is, a guy invented this camera some years ago that has some ability to be able to see the flow of the levels and flow of energy. You can look at the earth as you go up higher in altitude, the electrical nature increases. The same thing happens when you go down and you get down into the water level.
Think about it like listening to the radio. Think about it like listening to the radio. Like you can listen to 107.1, 107.9. If each one of those was a color and they ran horizontal like a rainbow effect, each energy frequency has a color. Up out of the pyramid, they go up and down.
Yeah, they're, instead of being horizontal, flowing across the earth like they normally do, going up over mountains and such, they project straight up. I suspect they project straight up until they get to the firmament area, you know.
Well, and my brain theory is if you think of us as an energy antenna, obelisk, pyramid, us as a human, you know, you've got different levels of energy radiating from you. So if they're trying to energy harvest, all they're doing is literally pulling away from you at all times if they're harvesting for whatever purpose that we don't know yet. I don't know that we don't know, but you know what I mean.
That's another thing that they've taken control of is the land. They call it public land, yet they block it off where you can't go in there, or make it difficult for you to go into public lands. And then they've got their corporations like the Gates people buying it all up and then building these super data centers on it, or either mining it or either just controlling it for other reasons. You know, it's when everybody first came to America, the story goes that everybody got a huge plot of land that they called their own. And then since then, it started subdividing down and being sold to other people and given to children. And then all of a sudden, see, the government is legally not supposed to own any property in the United States and all of the states. Only DC is the property that is supposed to be held separately. But we all know that's not the case. You know, their corporations are buying it up, and you say, well, that don't mean the United States owns it. If the same dudes own it and control it that are sitting around a table planning not so good things, I'd say that counts.
Well, you can, what is it? A suitable use site is what I saw this morning. When looking into some stuff on through the Freedom of Information Act on one of those 3-letter agencies. There's a report on there where they were talking about remote viewing and, you know, like supernatural kind of stuff going on. And it was kind of like a list of facilities that were friendly to that kind of stuff within the government. And it was talking about Skinwalker Ranch, that's, you know, one of theirs. And it's a friend, you know, it's a good site to go for paranormal or supernatural. So if it's your site, you own it.
Yep. I seen somebody mention the weather just a minute ago, and it made me think of something that kind of want to talk about. I can't share my screen over here yet on TikTok, but I will here in the near future. I'm going to work that out. Just so y'all guys know. What is that saying?
I keep trying to watch the comments on the two of them and not get fuzzed out on you like I did a while ago.
Right. Anyways, I won't worry about that this time around. Let me share my screen here real quick.
I've heard that, Sublime.
And if you really want to,
that.
if you're on TikTok, you can come over to YouTube and look up
more interactive.
Supernatural Show, and you can interact a little bit more and be able to see my screen that I'm getting ready to present. As soon as I can find the button, there we go. What I'm showing here is this is something that Dan Kennedy, rest his soul, noticed about the weather patterns. After the eclipses, the weather patterns seem to run on two paths. They run coming in here from the Oregon coast. It'll come down the center, and I'm referring to the center of the energy, the storm itself that is causing the front that you see. They come in over here, and they will come across out here, and they'll come right in this area around Illinois, where they were having major tornadoes the other day, or yesterday even. They come here, and then they either turn north and go about this way, or either they'll continue and come across right off the East Coast here out of South Carolina area. But a lot of times, like the storms that we're seeing right now, they're taking this path. See this path right here? So this storm comes up from down here, which is, again, this is eclipse path. The last eclipse we had came up across Mexico through Texas and followed this line right up through here. The other eclipse, one of them came, or there were two others, but one of them came across here and came down through here. And I was standing on the 33rd parallel when it exited that day, which is where it went out on the 33rd parallel, which is interesting in itself. But the weather patterns, what I'm saying is the weather patterns seem to be, see how this storm here, it continues and it stays on that line for the most part. If you're looking at the center of the storm is actually about right in here. It's a mid-level low, you might call it. But it's staying all very close to following that line. See how it's doing it still? Coming up from this way and following it. Now, if this only happened with one storm, it wouldn't be as big of a thing. But it's not happening just with one storm. It seems to be a repeating pattern of these. It's kind of a supernatural thing is what I'm kind of talking about.
Well, if you think about the fact that was the path of the eclipse, maybe it caused some different magnetism within the earth in that path, which may affect the weather.
Well, it caused something, unless it's just truly a supernatural thing, because the eclipse itself, as we know by going to, here, let me just pull up U.S. debt clock. And I open this little window here. And I open this image here, if it'll open. Nope. I've got it saved down here. But you can see already the Aleph is the alpha symbol, the A. We were just kind of talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
Live. Let me see. I've got a file that has that actual image here. Again. And I know we're off subject. We'll get there. But that's what we do is, well, that's what we do. We get off subject a lot because there's so much going on, so much to talk about. Let's see, where would this be at? Might be in here. I got lucky.
You're usually pretty good about where you save them.
I got a
How
million.
you remember all of that?
So there's the, I'll zoom in some more so you can actually see the path. Now, if the path wasn't extremely significant, why is it on the U.S. deck clock that's controlled by the U.S. out of New York?
Yeah, I told you there was a lot of weird stuff on that image.
Yeah. You see how I was saying how there's the one path where the weather comes across here down through South Carolina, so from Oregon to South Carolina. Then the other comes up from across Mexico and follows this path here. I haven't seen as much coming and diving down into Texas, but that does happen. They typically will form in the in this area in the middle of the country and then drop down sometimes to Texas. Then when they hit Texas, they bump and they head north. They never really exit across Texas. They'll take this turn and go northeast again. And if you think about our weather patterns, how much of our weather patterns follow these three lines?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost all of it, right? I mean, am I out of my head here, or
no? And if you think about the path of the eclipse, and if we know they're putting something up there, and we know it's probably metallic. So if that's shifting the weather and the eclipse changed the magnetism of that path right there, if it actually changed it or did something to it magnetically, anything, it would shift the weather.
Yeah. And we don't have all the answers, guys, of course, but we're exploring the questions.
We're on theories.
Yeah, for the most part.
A lot of times our conversations on here just lead into more research.
Normally. I imagine most of you have seen this image or that we've shown this image on the show before. I wish you guys over on TikTok could see it. You know, maybe I could, oh yeah. I know one way I could fix it, Roxy. I could mount me a camera right above my head up here that points at that screen. You know, my second screen.
Yeah.
That I'm using to project the image here. And have that camera focused on that screen and fed to my laptop. Then I could share that screen over here as well. And I don't know if this little camera here is good enough. Probably not. It's pretty little.
You could try it.
Little cheap.
What about turning the laptop just towards that monitor?
Then I wouldn't be on the screen for one.
Oh, I got you. You only got one perspective. Okay, let's get back to your drills. We've got sidetracked again, y'all.
We'll do that a lot. All right, let's see here. Let's look at a few slides that I have here for us to look at. What we're talking about is drills and other tabletop exercises, things like that are going on. Okay, so here's these are in no particular order. Here is, let me zoom it up a little bit more. Here is one that is scheduled. Supposedly it's already happened or is underway. This one is a concerning one. It says it's called CISA or ICBA, which I'd have to look up what that acronym is for. Cyber Tabletop Exercise for March 2025. The Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, Cyber and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, in collaboration with the ICBA, the Independent Community Bankers. So they're working with all the bankers in America, running an exercise, conducting a tabletop exercise on March 6, 2025. This event is aimed to bolster the capabilities of community banks. This means banks in your neighborhood and the financial services sector in identifying, mitigating, responding to, and recovering from cyber incidents. Now, they just ran this for the entire United States with all the local banks. Things that make you go, Let me see here. I want to pull up real quick.
I'm reading the comments while you're looking.
All right, go ahead. I'm just going to pull up. Let me finish reading this and I'm going to pull something up. It says the scenario involved a cascading event with a cloud service provider cyber incident coinciding. Now, check this out. So there's a banking incident that's taking place. Like a cyber attack or some kind of cyber event, right? So it says the scenario involved a cascading event with a cloud service provider cyber incident coinciding with a regional disaster.
What was that dated?
March 6th. Exactly. So
interesting, sir.
First off, these guys have absolute control of the internet. They have absolute control of their banking systems. Yes, they can go down sometimes. I would say all of the downtimes, or let's say 95% of the downtimes that we've all seen that take place from time to time around the country, I would say those are predictive programming events. Meaning telling us that, yeah, things can happen sometimes. The banks can go down more often than they actually do because they want us to not be quite as surprised when it happens. Go, oh yeah, I seen that coming. See, I told you I was smart. I'm a conspiracy theorist. I figured it out before it happened. When they wanted you to figure it out, they wanted you to know it was coming. Just like they're doing right now. They want you to know it's coming.
They're testing the whole system just to see how resilient we are.
Yeah, they're getting all their ducks in a row because what they intend to do is something like this at some point. That is typically what happens with these kind of exercises. Not every time, at least not yet for every case, but a lot of times. So let's pull up the name of the event, and I just want to look at a couple things. CISA/ICBA Cyber Tabletop Exercise. Okay.
There's so much going on in the world right now, it's hard to keep up.
Yeah. First off, I just want to look at images.
And not today, but I don't want to forget, but I won't. Just remember to talk about chaos, not on air, but just in general.
Yeah. Yeah, there's actually a couple things I want to talk to you about, but we can't really do it here. So let's look at this. I've got this exercise plugged in. I'm looking at symbolism to see what I see, okay? Like, first off, right here is an icon.
It's crazy to me that they create icons and badgery for a conference that you're having. Yeah.
Everything. It's because symbolism rules the world.
That sure looks like an eagle with a chip in his arm.
It kind of favors that quite a bit, don't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
it sure does.
it's the Cyber Security and Infrastructure Security Agency. So it's a digital eagle with a shield. But before we go there, you have to realize that this is inside of a circle. It's not just by chance when they put these things inside of a circle. Like, for instance, let me show you another one real quick. So here we have one that's well known. It's a circle with a circle inside a circle, and then additional layers of imagery. Is this one the same? A circle with two circles inside the circle. See the resemblance?
Mm-hmm.
And then in this case, you have a cube with the letters 777 on it, layered, because this is an all layered image. And this is symbolism that references obviously the Borg, Star Trek, the Borg cube, and where they sit, and they went around assimilating everything. And they said it's futile to resist us. And
it also happens to look like we was all at home for about 3 years.
Yeah, obviously that image is imposed there because of their claims that this actually exists and is a real thing, which I would say is not, but that's just my opinion. Now you got this cube that is going warp speed through space, just like Star Trek kind of stuff. So you're talking about like time travel kind of thing again, and it's talking about warp speed. So it's talking about moving something forward extremely quickly. It's almost like, to me, it's almost like an attack. But let's look at this image now and see if we see any other symbolism specifically. Obviously, we've got a cell tower here in the middle.
Look at them waves coming off of that tower.
Yeah, and then you've got the frequency waves coming off of the tower. And it's
a microchip in his arm.
And it's on a shield that's being held by an eagle, a digital eagle, because as you can see, he has symbolism for electronics built into it. And what was this thing about? This thing was about, excuse me. This thing is about community banks, community bankers of America. So all of you banks that are around you, okay, in your neighborhoods. And so this is representing something to do with that. And you can't always, when I look at these images, know exactly what they're trying to say at the first look, because this is the first look I've looked at this. Let's see what else we see here. We're going to have some more symbolism likely here. Here is your next image. Here you have the blockchain,
which looks a whole lot like the Matrix.
Yeah, very Matrix-ish. And you got all those little funny-looking, computer-looking lines, which is the same as over here, of course, on the eagle. And, of course, you got the cube here. See the cubes, which are tied to this cube. One of the things it's saying is that all of this is one beast. All of this is one effort. If it weren't, why would it have all the same imagery or very near the same imagery?
Well, am I correct, guys? Was the movie The Terminator and The Matrix written by the same lady? I know I've heard that before on TikTok somewhere, and I've never went to look and confirm that. So does anybody know?
You mean the writer or the who?
The writer. I think she wrote the books.
Well, we could Google it.
I don't have my extra laptop here, so
I got,
I
I got
can't jump on and do it. I normally do.
who wrote the Terminator movie?
I agree, Snowball, with the phone and the wallet and
And so Terminator movie, and what was the other one?
Matrix. And she said that one was the beginning and one was the end. Sophie Stewart wrote them, Bow and Arrow said.
Let's see. Sophie Stewart wrote the original The Third Eye Matrix book and script, which was adapted into the Matrix and Terminator films. That's on Reddit. Let's see what this says right here. Again, Sophie Stewart.
Well, I see AI as the Terminator. And I see all this other cyber cell phone wallet.
Well, it
blockchain.
It was Skynet. And if you look up Skynet, Skynet exists as a corporation right now that's involved with the stuff we're talking about. I'm talking about Skynet, the corporation.
Mm-hmm.
Skynet. This is.
Yes, we're trying to wake you up. We know that a lot of our viewers are awake and you're listening and you're seeing, but go do some research. When you go do some research,
do your own research.
Yeah, do your own research. Don't just trust us, and don't just trust anybody. I want you to go confirm what we're saying.
Yeah, make sure we're not wrong about some of the things we talk about.
And Daniel and I are not naysayers. I'm not just here to support what he says and him to me. We're having a conversation. If I don't agree with him or he don't agree with me, he don't agree. I tell him, and he knows that, and that's why I'm here.
And I'll do the thing.
Yeah, because we're very honest like that, because we're not coming from a point of arguing. We're trying to understand. There's so much more at work here than we could have ever have believed it to be. And how broad if you think about like the roots on a tree, I mean, this stuff just goes out everywhere.
Look at this, Melinda. This is the book, the script that was written before the Terminator, and that, look what's in the images.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Said
the
third eye, and it has the eye of Ra superimposed behind it. You can see it there. It says where it all begins. And then you come down here, you've got lightning, energy, plasma coming down, and here you have the pyramids with the all-seeing eye top on the top. All the same stuff that we've been talking about for show after show after show, talking about.
Didn't even know it.
And didn't know that this was directly tied, and it is.
I just keep seeing the Matrix and all of this stuff when I'm looking at.
You can see the code of the Matrix running right here. See it?
Yeah.
On the screen.
Yeah. And if you think about the Matrix, guys, this is a movie, and you see them doing all of this, but they are actually in a place where they're in a pod floating in liquid with a wire stuck in the back of their neck and their energy being harvested. So that the computers can keep destroying the world and running things, which is Terminator, the few of them that try to fight back. They try to fight Skynet.
You even got an orb right here.
Oh, gosh.
To the left of the man.
We're going to need some more pump up music after this. I got tractor work to do this weekend. I can't be on here
How's
investigating all
how is it
weekend.
so possible how we're so right about the things we get into
I don't
digging?
know, and
I mean,
it concerns me a little bit.
honestly, I choose to give all credit to Father and lead me in the right direction. But I mean, really?
And I promise, guys, we had not looked this up before and did not know. This was just something that, in conversation, that we struck on, and he decided to go look at it. Normally, I have another laptop running, but I'm over at a farm this weekend, and all I have is my iPad, so I'm a little short on resources. That's why I was asking y'all.
Yeah,
Because, you see things on TikTok and you don't know whether to believe them, so we always try to go back and investigate, and it's something that had just,
this is literally the book.
oh my gosh. Oh.
Remember, I was showing the ethylene bone the other day
Mm-hmm.
that sits right between your eyes,
Yeah.
and how we were talking about how the pyramids were energy devices and were used for many things, but one of the specific things was communication, like a broadcast system. And what did they just come out and say about them after we had said it? Then they come out and say, "Oh, we found all this stuff underneath the pyramids. Looks like this thing was an ancient cell tower, basically."
And
I mean,
sometimes I don't even doubt the fact that, like, the videos we've stumbled across lately showing some of this stuff, that it's not that they didn't already know this, it's just that we dug deep enough that enough of us saw it, so they had to tell about it. And they try to bring it out like, oh, it's a new discovery. No, they've known that. They've known that all along. They just don't want you to know because they're trying to control it. In order to control the future, you got to control the past. In order to control the past, you got to control the present.
all right, so we've got.
I need a 2-minute break. I'll be right back.
All right, actually, we will take right at this moment a 5-minute break. So we'll be back in 5 guys, but we'll leave you with something interesting to check out, and it's directly tied to everything we're talking about. Some of you may have seen it before, but it's something that needs to be considered again. So we'll be right back in 5.
It's a twister! It's a twister!
I imagine right now you're feeling a bit like Dorothy, landing in Oz in a realm that just does not feel quite like home. I can see it in your eyes. You have the look of a man who does not accept what he sees, because he suspects everything his eyes present to him is a lie. Ironically, this is very close to the truth. Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know, you cannot explain, but you can feel it. You have felt it your entire life, that something is wrong with this world, that has been presented to you with the full expectation that you accept it and never question it. You don't know completely what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind driving you mad. It is this feeling that brought you here to me, to now, to a choice. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you want to know what it is? It is the supernatural image and word of God. It is all around us right now, even in your very room where you are sitting at this moment. You can see it when you peer into the mirror at your own reflection, or when you take a photo of a friend. You can feel it when the sun shines or when a wave in the sea crashes upon you. You can taste it when you bite into an apple and see it when you tear open a fruit. You can feel it when you caress a woman or when a woman caresses you. And you can see it upon the woman's body, the breasts, the buttocks, and eyes alike. It is there when you speak or when you take a breath. You can hear it when the great owl screeches or see it written upon his face. You can see it coming when a whirlwind is nearly upon you and hear it when the thunder rolls. And you can feel it when the wind blows. It is the world that exists beyond the veil. It must be perceived with the mind before the eye can see it. A world that no one ever informed you of, yet you know it's there. If you speak of it, others will say you're crazy, for you must believe what they believe. Like everyone else, you were born and introduced and convinced of a false reality, a false world, a prison world designed so that you would not see, hear, smell, taste, or touch the supernatural reality of the true world. They built a prison for your mind and a hell for your soul. And they pray to their gods that you will never wake up. Unfortunately, no one can be shown what the supernatural world is. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there's no turning back. You hit the back button, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you believed before this moment. Or you continue watching and you cross beyond the veil. And I will show you what is behind the wizard's curtain. Remember, all I am offering you is the truth. Nothing more, nothing less. It is now time to choose. Go back now or continue beyond the veil.
For those of you guys that are on TikTok, because I see there's actually getting to be quite a few in there now.
Hey, we back?
Yep, we are back. I was just talking to the people on TikTok.
Uh-oh, I've lost audio. I don't know if you can hear me or not. I may have to restart StreamYard. I'll be back in a minute. Let me restart.
Okay, 10-4. The technical difficulty. This is really our first time live on TikTok. This is the Supernatural Show. I'm Daniel Alexander Cannon, if you've never seen me before. We're live on TikTok. We're also live on this other PC right here that you can't see. We're live on it on 2 YouTube platforms, 2 Facebook pages, Rumble, Kick.com, BitChute, and I think another one. Anyways, 8 over here and 1 here. Looks like she's back here in the very near future. So I ask you to subscribe. We will be able to, or follow, or whatever it is on TikTok. We will be doing we'll have it fixed so you can see what we're showing on the screen here. So just updating the guys on TikTok a little bit. All right, so we're looking at the symbolism on the on this right here. In case we've got some people kind of late joining us, we're looking at different exercises, tabletop exercises, drills, and things that are planned for 2025. Okay. We're looking at this one here, which is called the Cyber Tabletop Exercise. It was held supposedly in March 2025. The Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, in collaboration with the Independent Community Bankers of America, conducted a tabletop exercise on March 6, 2025. This event aimed to bolster the capabilities of community banks. This means the banks that are right around your neighborhood, and the financial services sector in identifying, mitigating, and responding to and recovering from cyber incidents. The scenario involved a cascading event with a cloud service provider cyber incident coinciding with a regional disaster. And so what I wanted to do is I pulled up the name of the tabletop exercise up here, and I wanted to look at the symbolism, because symbolism rules the world, and they will show you things in the symbolism that you would not otherwise be able to get information wise, because they're not going to tell you. They'll sometimes show you, but you have to understand symbolism. So we looked at their little banner thing their little icon that they created for the exercise. Okay. A digital eagle with the digital in his wing here, holding a shield with a cell tower and a local city in it, inside of 3 magic circles. Okay. Very similar to this one. Here you go. You got the cube, of course. And for them, they have the cube in their imagery as well, which you can see here. This is straight from the same website as this. And look, we lose her again. You back again?
I'm back again. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. I had to completely reboot. It locked me up.
Okay. All right. Well, I was just kind of doing a quick review as to where we're at and everything.
Okay.
And we started kind of tying this to Skynet and Terminator and the Matrix. And Roxy was asking who wrote those stories. And according to the internet, someone named Sophia Stewart wrote it, as you can see right here. And her book, she named The Third Eye, Where It All Begins. And it happens to show all the same imagery and related information type stuff that we've been talking about here on the Supernatural Show. As those of you that have been here for a while know, we've been talking about all of this subject matter in the last, well, maybe forever, but let's say the last few months, very, very heavily. And so I want to go back and see what other symbolism we might see. Okay. And that's just a matter of looking at their images coming from them, excuse me, and seeing what we see. Here's another image that they put out. And you would think, why does this matter? Because it does. They wouldn't have created this image and put it on the ICBA website, which is the website that's related to this drill, if it didn't mean something. So here we got like a kind of like a cube thing going on again with a lock and key image. The gold lock and key image laying on top of what looks like some kind of extreme high-tech computer
Super
board.
chip.
Yeah, like super chip kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. It's showing you there's chips below it, but that's a super chip.
That may be exactly what that is. Yeah. A lot of super tips that they're talking about coming out here recently. They've been talking about super intelligence, not just AI, but super AI. They're calling it.
See, this is why I was telling you earlier when we were talking for a minute about that airplane.
Check this image out. Oh, go ahead.
We were talking about Flight 370 that disappeared because it had a whole company worth of employees and their family that were defecting to China, and the whole plane just disappeared, never to be seen or heard of again.
Oh, yeah.
They were a chip company, super chip company.
Yep. Yeah, I heard that too. Yeah.
Now, that's what I've heard. All the evidence I've seen points in that direction. And I trust the 20 or so sources I went and looked it up with.
If anybody was going to make an attempt against them at that high of a level, yeah, they would have an accident. Just like that whole plane had an accident.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all guys, I know Roxy's seen it, but I don't know if all of you have seen the some of the video footage. Can't say for sure if it's real or not because I wasn't there. I didn't do it. But it shows 3 orbs interacting with the MH370, one from a satellite view and one from a drone view, infrared drone view.
Why would a drone be there at that exact moment? The drone couldn't catch a 777.
Because we know they're behind it.
Exactly.
Just like the orbs, they're behind those. They're not behind all the orbs we see. But if many of us should remember, well, let me show you this. Yeah.
Well, see, that one guy is trying to say that these orbs could possibly be the ones that we think, that may be being controlled by things here on Earth, at those 3-letter agencies, that they would be controlled telepathically, which explains a lot of. Y'all just need to if you haven't listened to telepathy tapes, I probably say this every time we watch, you should.
Well, another movie that Cruise did was called The Minority Report. And they had what they called precogs, for like cognition, meaning seeing something, understanding something. Well, they were called precogs because they could see things that were going on and see what was going to go on, predicting it. They were doing like pre-crime kind of stuff, arresting people before they even did something. I'm not so sure it's as much about that as it is having the ability to do this kind of stuff, like communicate telepathically. I would be pretty for sure they've probably gotten that down, even to the level of using an AI to communicate with someone or some people, maybe a group of people, maybe I don't know how large of an area they could do it with, but telepathically communicate with people. Like, what if Starlink, for instance, what if they had the technology built into that in order to put thoughts in our head?
Well, we already know that they've got one of those things. It's a energy weapon that they can point at a protest or a crowd, and it'll make everybody sick and make you just buckle right down and back off. It's like a sightless, tasteless pepper spray. It makes you sick. You want to go away. And there's videos everywhere of people when they were like testing it, and it was like reporters and stuff, like, oh, you got this, yeah.
Well, all they have to do is they know how the body works. They know that they don't, in order to communicate with the ear, you don't have to use sound. You can use frequency, which is sound, But you ever heard of these communication devices that some people like military will use, and they'll have it on their jaw area?
Yeah,
And
bone conduction.
yeah, bone conduction basically. So would they benefit from being able to communicate with the public as a whole, or maybe a large section of the public, or in the case of Starlink, it could be worldwide, where they
Well,
start putting these thoughts in people's heads, maybe controlling their emotions?
I ask this very simply of everybody out there. How many times have you ever been on social media of any kind or on the internet and had been thinking about something? Let's say something as simple as you were going to buy a new car, or you've been thinking about a Toyota this or something. And all of a sudden, just randomly ads pop up on your phone. Think about that.
Mm-hmm. I would say
It's taking so many pictures per millisecond of you, and you don't even realize it. Go stand in front of one of those infrared hunting cameras that has live video and watch how many times your phone is flashing you with that facial recognition.
a lot.
Yeah. Like if you're a hunter, if you're a deer hunter, do not take your cell phone with you or have it out in the dark, because I promise you, them deers can see it. Learn that the hard way.
What can see it?
The deer.
The deer. Oh yeah.
Yeah, because that thing is sitting there flashing and it'll catch their attention and you don't even realize it. Because that thing, even if you've got it on silence and let's say you got it in your back pants pocket, that thing's still taking pictures and that flash will still flash on the camera.
Right. You know, we're looking at this image here from Oblivion, where they've got these AI controlled orbs. There was a lady in this; she was like the big boss in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It was his boss, and she was an AI, and they didn't even know it. And they were supposedly clones and didn't know it. And they had these orb-like things here.
Control.
Yeah, controlled by AI. Now, what are the chances that this isn't already real? And this is basically exactly what we've seen flying around MH70. I wonder if I could easily find that video.
Well, and then we talk about the television. We watch all of these movies, and part of these movies are to precondition you so when it does happen, you're not as shocked. Because when you see something, you're like, oh, I remember seeing that in Back to the Future in 1985. And when it come out, you were just like, oh, that's cool. And you keep on moving. It loses its shock value. That's called conditioning. And people who are traumatized or have some type of trauma in their life, regardless of what it is, are like 60% more likely to be hypnotized without you even knowing it. Skull shape and bloodline. What gets you in the club? If you ain't Pharaoh. I'm reading comments while you're looking.
Trying to load this YouTube video of the thermal video from supposedly a drone, from supposedly filming the MH370 plane that went down outside of Indonesia some years ago. But I'm using so much internet because I'm live on so many places.
Yep.
Many computers. I got 3 computers right here, and all 3 of them are live right now. And we're live on 9 platforms. So
we hauling down some bandwidth today because I got 2 going over here.
Yeah. And we're hauling down so much I can't even hardly get YouTube to load. So we'll give that a minute. Let it load. But that video footage is here.
That looks like you hit the second one.
Yeah, right there. And I'm trying to load it. But maybe the AI don't want me to see that and show it. Well, I imagine quite a few of you have seen it. But what I wanted to show was the fact that there were 3 orbs that looked like, if the video footage was real, that the orbs were flying around in a circle around this airplane, and then poof, instead of it blowing up, it does the opposite of blowing up. it just vanishes
disappears into a cold spot.
into cold, because it was a thermal camera, and the place where it disappeared literally was a black blast. So, and I'm not saying that that's real footage for sure, because I don't know. I'd sure like to play it if it would actually work, but golly, I ain't never seen, what is YouTube down or something? I don't think so.
No, because we're on it. It's probably because you're pulling TikTok too.
Yeah, I got so much going here at once. I supposedly have 1,000 megabits per second or something, and that ain't even fast enough.
Predictive programming, yes. They're taking away the shock value of what's to come. Because, I mean, and I lay it back to this. The Walking Dead. If a zombie apocalypse broke out, you'd have a little more of an idea what to do. I mean, you've seen enough of the zombie movies. You think one day that just idea come to one random person and it took off into a whole genre?
Right.
Come on.
There's a reason.
There's a reason for everything.
There's been thousands of zombie movies, and I don't want to say it in order for you to know that some type of event, something like that. And I would imagine it's the people that haven't taken the mark. The people who take the mark are going to be the zombies, because it says in Revelations that the people who took the mark, gruesome sores broke out on them all over their body, and that they were basically walking dead. It says that in Revelations.
Well, do you know what graphene oxide does?
I know a few things, but tell me what you're thinking.
Well, graphene oxide is a magnetic substance, and we've already determined that you can take radio frequency and manipulate energy and magnetism. So there's you're flipping the switch.
Oh, you mean because it's in certain people's bodies?
Mm-hmm. Not all of us, thank God, but quite a few.
Uh-huh.
The numbers would not be good in our favor in that situation if they flip that switch. That's where my brain goes. I know that's a far out there theory, but it's just one I think of. I try to look at all the scenarios, and that's one that concerns me, no doubt.
I would like to hope and pray that that scenario never plays out, but I can't ignore what I'm seeing. So here are these guys playing literally a tabletop game. This is another image. Look at that guy's face. What's wrong with his eyes? Oh, this is a AI creation is what this is. It's not a real photograph. But they have a hard hat on everybody, and even the playing board, they have a hard hat on. More interesting is this one here. This is their chess. Yep, and they got the knight knocking over the queen or the king, I guess. Is it a queen? Well, both that they have both on the chessboard, don't they?
I don't know. It just what flashed in my brain was the movie Avatar. You know, the ones that are there to mine the unobtainium mineral or whatever it is. Uh-huh. You know, they have that big table in the middle of the control room there, and it's almost got a firmament over it, and it's like a 3D representation of everything. That's what I see when you showed that tabletop game. When they're talking about tabletop, that's what I get.
Uh-huh.
And I used to be, before I went completely away from the company that owns all of these now, I used to love me some superheroes. And I was so enthralled with the tech of Iron Man.
Uh-huh, yeah, me too, back in the day.
Back in the day, yep. I still got comic books from when I was a kid, put up and preserved in plastic. I mean, I was a comic book kid. But some of the things I saw in comic books then, I've seen in real life now. And back as a kid, you were like, there ain't no way.
Look at this image here. Do you remember... I remember Trump saying one time, this is the calm before the storm. Boy, was he forever right. But it's interesting, they've got this labeled here as Cyber Storm 9, I I think that's right. No, that ain't 9. What is
Yeah,
X?
that's 9. X is 10.
Okay, 10. Yeah, that's
10
right.
minus 1, yeah.
So this will be 9. Cyberstorm 9.
That means there was 8 others.
Right. And they've literally got a toroidal image here, like smoke almost spinning.
That looks like power energy to me.
Yeah, it's the center of a toroid, a torus, the center of a torus, like a tornado or a hurricane. The eye of the storm is what that imagery is, and all the technology is all based on it as well, because this image is knowledge and from the tree in the garden of knowledge. All right, let's see what else we got.
Did you see that thing I sent you probably a week or 2 ago? I don't know. We send so much stuff back and forth. Is the thing you put over your bed made out of copper?
I didn't see that.
Oh, I'll have to send it to you. You build it out of copper. It's a triangle, a pyramid. You build it out of copper pipe. You know, it's big enough to go all the way across your bed. And
Like
the top of it has a copper top, and it has the torus in it, which is normally made out of like epoxy resin, and then it's got a coil, a copper coil that runs around it.
Oh, wow.
Inside of that epoxy resin, our live ended on TikTok for some reason. Maybe we timed out. I don't know. But it has all type of quartz and stuff in it, and it's about balancing and grounding yourself. I'll have to send that back to you. I've seen them on TikTok. You know, I want to build it now.
Yeah, you like
All right, that's fine. It's saying you got to engage more. They're noticing I'm not touching anything over there, doing anything.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. But yeah, I need to give y'all guys administrative control while we're live, so that way you can help me engage over here as well. Let's see. I think we had 41 views. Got 7 diamonds, 1,000.
That's what my phone was saying.
Your phone said I had 1,000.
See, right, they're lights. 1.1K.
How you only got 41? Wait a minute, we're live over here still. I can't be going.
Yeah, we can't be looking at TikTok right now.
We're still in the middle of a show. What am I doing? Okay.
Yeah, but I seen that pyramid thing for over the bed, and it's all about grounding and realignment and resetting your magnetic. And another thing I've done at my house, I got 2 grandbabies, and I've noticed that they have dark circles up under their eyes. And so all the research I can do tell me they have too many metals in their body. So we're going to do a heavy metal detox at my house. I'll let y'all know how that goes.
Yeah.
Because I got one with...
The fake cage on the bed idea, I think, is a really good idea as well.
Well, and I've got one. He's got ADD, and it's pretty, you know, and he has ADD. Mm-hmm. And we're going to try the heavy metal detox and see if it helps him. Can't hurt.
Mm-hmm. So here's the next exercise that I'm going to pull up and show. This is called Group Sense Ransomware Executive Tabletop Exercise Service, launched April 2025. So supposedly this is happening now. Group Sense, a digital risk protection services company, announced the availability of its new ransomware executive tabletop exercise service in April 2025, drawing from experience in negotiating high-profile ransomware cases. This service is designed to help organizations mitigate ransomware risks through simulated exercises. Ransomware, to me, I think you can easily find what you would consider a small individual hacker that can ransomware somebody. But you could also use it on a very large scale to twist the arms of a large group of people. Like people who, let's remember when the truckers were going to in Canada and all the people went up there protesting and all the bank accounts got locked down. That's just, it's the same thing, you know.
Group Sense, I just looked them up online. They're a private company, kind of like McAfee Virus used to be or is or whatever. they specialize in ransomware.
Yeah. Here's an interesting one. Joint Base San Antonio. It's called Black Start Exercise. March 19th through 27th, 2025. The 502nd Air Base Wing at JBSA, Texas, conducted a comprehensive exercise focusing on severe weather, natural disaster response, continuity of operations, and energy resilience. This Black Start exercise involved coordination with mission partners and the local community to test responses to prolonged power outages. So most of us have been hearing for years how they might very well black us out at some point. And I've heard the current president of the United States say things about the lights going out quite a few times. Sometimes in a covert way, like telling the people in the building, turn the lights out, or either getting the audience to chant, turn out the lights. And I always pay attention to what they're doing. Whether you like them or not, I watch all of them. Because
and don't ever just listen to one side of any story.
Let's look at Black Start exercise and see what we see there. Black Start exercise. See what we see in a little bit of symbolism from that, if we can see anything. Okay, we got star within a star. Fort Raleigh Black Start. Images of them bringing in generators. Are you prepared for a power outage? I don't see as well. This is probably would be about the most interesting piece of symbolism from that. Again, circle, another circle with the Ghostbusters symbol on it with a lightning bolt. The trident over here, and the Japanese flag, sun rising over here.
That's just strange.
Yeah.
That's a strange one there.
Let's see if there's a better one. Below. Not really. Okay, so let's close that. We'll look a little bit more, and then we'll move to the next one. Won't spend too much time on this unless I see something that blows my mind. I mean, with all the lights flickering and having problems, and like the energy grid is tripping out, it ain't too far of a stretch to wonder what they're planning on doing, and why. I mean, what benefit do they get to turning off all the electricity? Because then they lose all their eyes. They can't see everything like they normally can.
Well, I do know that at a particular nanometer of bluish purple light, you can tell whether somebody has that substance in them or not.
You mean like a black light?
Yeah, kind of like a black light. They can tell whether you took it or you didn't. And if you didn't, if you got any traces from somebody rubbing up on you, we'll just say them words.
Um,
I'll have to find that video for everybody so can see it next week.
if you go to the town of Pawleys Island here in South Carolina and other places, you will see, I mean, there's entire businesses that are black lighted out. I call these images you're looking at here.
Car dealership.
Let me pull one up. Yeah, like car dealerships, even the hotel last September 23rd. It's not a very big one. Last September 23rd, at the hotel we were staying at when we were homeless, they installed, ramping up to September 23rd, they came around and installed a bunch of lights. And on the 23rd, or right about there, they turned them all on, and they were all purple, or what I call heliotrope, just like this. And of course, it can produce the heliotrope because it's LED. All they have to do is change the
Wavelengths.
yeah, the wavelength basically. It's going to the lights, but
I see you, Sidewinder. I watched that show too. I knew about that one. And that's what kind of struck me when I come across this other video the other day, because evidently if you got it, it presents itself up under one of those black lights, and it kind of looks like it comes across the bridge of your nose, across the cheeks, your forehead, almost like a ski mask, so to speak. And it's very noticeable. And so the only thing I could figure, and if you got it through contact, it's just like the end of your nose and your chin, and it kind of goes out from there. But why would they need it on streets that you drive down? You're not walking, which means you would be moving at 40 to 60 miles an hour, so you would only be up under it for an instantaneous, unless they had something in it to take a picture to possibly find out if you were A or B. So why do you need that? What were you planning? See, this is where my mind goes, people. I end up spending my whole day stuck down a rabbit hole thinking about these things.
Bradley Moore said he can bring up the word heliofont, which is has to do with that IPEC goat video. And heliofont, I decoded that word as the language of the sun. So heliotrope, the purple color is what's considered to be the royal color. It's the color of deity. I've seen that color on the angels that I've seen. It's rotating and spinning in it, the light. And you'd see purple in them sometimes. Yeah, and even probably about everything we're talking about here, you could look at iPad Goat, and I can see in my mind's eye right now just imagery that is related to the conversation that we're talking about. I mean, so much of iPad Goat has played out now. It's insane. And
Yep.
It's still playing out. It showed one of the more interesting things in iPad Goat is the Antichrist type figure coming through windows out of the heavens and blowing fire into the water and into the mouth of what looks like the mouth of the earth or the mouth of the people of the world. And then he goes sailing right up in there. And then all this electrical activity starts happening, and the body that he's going through starts falling apart. And there's like a new light from the outside that's calling it to start falling apart. And while he's in that tunnel state going through to be birthed out the other end, if you know what I'm talking about, if you've seen iPad Goat, you will see two scenes. One is the witch in the phallic, and she sees that light, and she starts stumbling and backing up, and she loses her ability to sexually attract men. And it shows that shows that as an image of a man laying half face down and half face up, which is very strange. The other scene that's shown also while the Antichrist figure is in that tunnel coming to be birthed, went in the mouth and it's coming out the birth canal, and it is showing him rising up above a formation of semen. It's the men that looks like men stand all in formation, but if you look closely, it's like a cloud. And I know based on the symbolism of the video, it's semen. So he rises up and comes down and destroys all of the semen. Reproduction, creation, Genesis. It shows that's what the attack is going for, is to destroy the seed of the woman, which is the story biblically. The woman clothed in the sun with the moon under her feet. It's all shown in there. The dragon spewing is all shown in there, which I've just been describing. And when he spews fire out of the heavens, it is ultimately in order to destroy Genesis, the ability to reproduce, to create in the way that we do now, because they ultimately are changing. They want to change, and I suspect what they're doing is what they did with the Twin Towers, which is tear down the male and the female and bring it back and twist it into one again. So that I would say, and I've said before, they're trying to go back to the garden and put man and woman back together again and be as gods.
Well, red and blue make purple.
Huh?
Red and blue make purple.
Yes. Why are you saying?
Well, I've been looking at this Voynich manuscript. There's some people trying to decode it, and they go back through the provenance of where it come from and who wrote it. And evidently, it was multiple people. Talks about all kinds of things. I ran up on Allie on TikTok. She's the one that's working on it. But in a lot of religious art, the male is always depicted in, I think the male is in red and the female is in blue. Red and yellow make blue. Make purple. And that's where I went with that in my brain, because...
So you're seeing the colors, red and blue being male, female.
Right. If one is female and one is male and you put them together, they're purple. But if you look into religions that had like the divine female, they always depict that as the purple flame. I don't know. It's just one of those side rabbit holes I'm down.
Right. No, it's related. Absolutely. It's related. It's related. Yeah, and Carla Summers mentions also the woman riding a scarlet-colored beast. But it says scarlet, but it also, I think it mentions purple as well in the colors that are associated with that woman. And the woman, of course, is the country that is the whore, and does business, you might say, with anyone and everything to get what she wants.
Oh, are we still on the same subject we were earlier?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at this next exercise up here. This is called Grid X, and I've heard of Grid X before, but Grid X sounds like the grid going down. Grid X,
Oh, electrical grid.
It says it was for November of 20, coming up November 18th and 19th. 2025, organized by the North American Electric Reliability Corporation. Grid X8. Grid X8? Yeah, Grid X8 is scheduled for November 2025 as the largest grid security exercise in North America. Okay, the largest. Okay. It aims to test and improve the resilience of the electrical grid against coordinated cyber and physical security threats. So threats that are physical and cyber against the grid. So let's go and pull up Grid X and see what we see here. Grid X8. All right. Well, goes back once again in this image anyways. Well, that's not a very big image.
Jeff said something about Prince. Everybody out there, go look into Prince and see what he was as a person. I'm going to mute it for a second. I got company pulling up, guys.
All right, go ahead. I'm just going to look at the symbolism here that I'm seeing. I don't know if y'all guys know it or not, but even the power lines, the structures in which they hang the power lines on, this is an example. Let me see if it's a big enough image to show. These multi-layered, tiered electrical line supporters, these big ones like this that you see around the country, where they have the very large lines on them, they're in the image of an Egyptian, I forget what it's called at the moment, but it's an Egyptian symbol that they would hold in their hands sometimes. And it kind of looks like this. It looks just like it looks like that is what it looks like. Let's see what else I see here.
I'm back. I'm reading comments.
Somebody's loud in the background. Not too much there on this one to really look at. Let's look at NERC. Let's add the word NERC in there. See if we get some little different or better results, maybe. What we're doing, guys, is looking at the symbolism of the planned drills and exercises and tabletop exercises that are coming up this year. And I'm just kind of working through each one and looking at the symbolism that they're showing. One we looked at a while ago had a lot of really telling symbolism. These, not so much, because I'm doing this looking and research live with y'all guys. Let me pull up another one here. This one is called Caribbean Wave, as in Caribbean. Caribbean Wave 25, scheduled for March 20th, 2025. So it just passed. It says the 14th annual regional tsunami exercise, Caribbean Wave 25, was conducted March 20th, 2025 at 1500 UTC. Coordinated by the UNESCO and IOC Intergovernmental Coordination Group for Tsunamis and other coastal hazards from the Caribbean and adjacent regions. It says the exercise offered a couple of scenarios. A tsunami generated, and I've always said if we get a really bad tsunami or a really bad earthquake that's going to happen and be man-made, that happens in this anywhere around, it's going to be an 8 or an 8.8 is what they're going to say it was. And this exercise, and some of you probably heard me say that before, and this exercise is saying an 8. So a tsunami generated by a magnitude 8.0 earthquake along the Enriquillo Plantain Garden Fault Zone, which I believe is down in the Caribbean, of course. I'm not sure if this is a good one to pull up, really, or not. Caribbean Wave. Yeah, let's take a look at another one. We still got time here. This is the LAX Northeast Tsunami exercise, March 29th, 2025. Well, they sure had a bunch of them around March, didn't they? Scheduled for March 29th, this exercise encourages amateur radio operators to send messages to the tactical address Tsunami during Tsunami Preparedness Week, March 22nd through the 30th. The goal is to enhance all hazards preparedness and practice radio operations related. Personally, I wouldn't be contacting them with my hand.
No, I sure ain't telling them where I'm at.
Ain't no way. That's the whole idea of having a ham radio. It ain't because the Japanese are coming.
No, it's definitely not.
That ain't the enemy. Never was.
The enemy lives within the border, I do believe.
Yep. To say it really nice. Let's see what we got. Another one here. Pacifics 25, organized for the Pacific US and Canada. Pacific X 25 is an upcoming tsunami exercise designed to test and improve regional tsunami warnings. Let's look up Pacifics. Let's do that real quick. Pacifics. Pacifics. Because I don't know if y'all guys realize this or not. When you have the level of technology that they have, you can create big waves. You can create tsunamis. There's multiple ways they could do one. You take, for instance, the tsunami that hit Japan on 3/11, 2011, 3/11. You know what not happened on 9/11, right? Well, that happened on 3/11, 2011, and we've seen it. It was a massive tsunami. Why they did that, we'll never know, but I don't believe for a second that was a natural event. But that's how they work, is they use weapons and use events that someone could say, well, that's natural, a tsunami, or that's natural, a hurricane, or that's natural, 50 tornadoes breaking out in one day, the other day in the central U.S. That's natural. Just like the cough is natural, the flu. You know, that one that just happened, that's natural. See, they're using invisible weapons, or virtually invisible. They're invisible psychologically so that no one can point a really solid finger, even though some of us, or a lot of us, I imagine, can see it. No, I want exercise balls. That's Tsunami. Okay.
I'm here.
Okay. Just looking at the symbolism behind the Pacifics tsunami exercise. There was, I will pull this up because it's related. Let's go. Let's see if this magazine cover comes up that I'm looking for. Yeah, this is one of them here. where this came out years ago. They got Trump sitting there, doing his tip of the spear hand sign. And he had stated this is the calm before the storm. And then they show all of this and everything that's happened to do with Trump and the world and the government and all these events, the planned demonic. But it's very interesting use of water, because the last image, because there was another one they came out with, showed, let me see if I see it here. Well, there's another one. This is it right here, actually. Showing underwater. And I've done many videos talking about the Northeast and my concern for ultimately a tsunami that would likely range from up there around New York, Boston area down into the DC area as well. Not only do I think that, it's also biblical that when Babylon is destroyed, and I know as I get new people on here, I know that when I say anything negative about this man, they get mad. They don't want to listen to any other ideas, and they run off because they're convinced this billionaire is actually for them. Not all the rest. All the rest of them were crooked, but this one.
Well, and I have to say this for our audience. I was on that team.
Here it comes.
And I have now come to a point. I wasn't hardcore, but I thought, there was going to be change. Things were different, blah, blah, blah. So the more I dig and the more I find, I don't like to get political on here, but I'm staying an observant third party. I don't want to be a party of either side, because they're two wings of the same bird.
Exactly. They're two wings of the same bird. It's like the double-headed eagle looking both directions. They're controlling both directions, the left and the right. The magazine cover I'm looking for showed a wave, showed an image of Trump from the side, and his hair is like a wave. He looks like a wave that's coming to hit the United States. And again, it's symbolism, so it can be discredited because, it can be.
Well,
but anyways, I can find it.
I saw Sublime say something. You haven't given him much of a chance, though. I still am giving chances. I like to be objectionable, and I know you might be talking about Daniel, but if you follow the money and you follow the leverage, you always end up at the same place. And you find out that same place is just the puppet master, And you figure out that this puppet master has geared and engineered leverage against everybody in control so that they will bend to their will. And so when you start following that money to see where the leverage lies, you start realizing how many of those strings go into that little house on a big hill that's, white in color. And it's scary. And it makes you try to be more objective. I'm all about having a better country with less oversight and free speech. But the more we want it, it seems to be less of a possibility.
Here's the deal, Sublime. I have more to gain by you being right and me being wrong.
Absolutely.
You understand that position? I hope you're right.
And he did walk into a huge mess. He did.
Of course he did. But the point I'm trying to make is I have more to gain if you're right and I'm wrong. So
Well,
let's agree to both keep our eyes open and move forward, because, well, that's the logical and reasonable thing to do. We can't divide over these kind of issues. Neither one, nor you nor me or anybody here, ever going to have dinner with any of these people. And I could go over the 500 reasons that I could probably come up with to try to convince you. But until you see it for yourself, there's no need for me to push that.
no, and we're not pushing anything. And we love you, Sublime. We see you all the time.
Yeah, we
And
should run off or anything.
no, we don't want you to go anywhere. We don't. And I was all about Team T. That's what I was the first time around, and I voted the second time around. And Daniel will tell you there's flags hanging up in our shop out there that are, Team T. But I have chosen to subtract myself from having an opinion on that to just look at the facts of money and control. And everything we talk about with all of this, even up to Antarctica, to World War II, to, all of this, these pyramids, it all seems to intertwine in this spider web of lies and leverage. And that was him not being able to be bought was one of my biggest reasons I was behind him. Sometimes it ain't all about money. It's about what they know on you. So, but just be objective, as I'm trying to be.
And try to leave emotions out. Because
I'm by no means on the left.
You can get controlled easily with emotions. So I got that video playing of the MH370 with the orbs allegedly spinning around it. And if this is really real video, those are man-made orbs. There are real orbs that I've dealt with and seen in person many times. And they're not man-made, the ones I've dealt with in person, as close as 25 foot away from me, big as a Volkswagen. Those are angelic. These, on the other hand, are something.
That's the temperature you're looking at on the left.
Yeah. I'm going to see if I can stop this right here and look at it a little bit closer when it goes poof. All right, let me back
They
up.
go from circular to triangle, and then poof, it disappears.
Go frame by frame. So I haven't done this yet. I wanted to.
No, nobody wants to live in an echo chamber, and that's why we try to stay. We really love Friday because everybody seems to be a little more interactive on Friday because we like having the conversation with you guys because we want to hear everybody's points of view. Maybe there's something that I don't know, or you picked up on something that I didn't catch.
And also, guys, the only reason I think about this, I am well aware that if I was on the T-Wagon, I could gain a lot more viewers. I'm going against the grain on both sides. I ain't on the Biden wagon or the Obama wagon or the Clinton wagon. I'm not on the T-Wagon. I'm not on the Bush wagon. I'm not on any of those wagons. I stand to lose the most because of my position.
The only wagon we're riding is the truth train.
And I realized that if I was to never say anything negative about Mr. T, I would gain more subscribers. But if I believe that the things I believe, I would be selling out. You understand? So I know I'm stabbing my own self in the back or in the stomach or whatever, in the chest. I realize what I'm doing, but I'm doing it because I believe what I'm saying and the things that I present, especially about politics. My position of that they're two wings of the same bird. Yeah, they put on a fan freaking tastic show, and they're all actors. There's no difference between Hollywood actors and DC actors. What do they call themselves all the time? There was these actors involved. I mean, they tell you the truth in their own language. Caesar said the world is, I think it was Caesar, said the world is a stage. Even back then, it
Oh
is
yeah.
too. Where when we're observing these things that are going on the television or television with programming on it, we're observing this, and it's on a stage. Right out the gate, it's on a television with programming and channeling. And all of the actors for the show are cast members. Like the cast spell, they're all cast members.
I want everybody to go look up this movie and see if you can find it and watch it. It's called Idiocracy. It is a movie that shows you what the future could look like to corporate sellout. When this movie was made, it's been made some years. It's not even a really good movie. It's kind of dumb, but it gives you a sense of where the world could go. They were trying to they were trying to find a shoe that was cheap, because this was a very small movie production they were trying to put together. They tried to find the cheapest shoe that they could find that would make everybody in the movie look like brain dead zombies, so to speak. The company they chose was Croc, the ones that everybody's wearing today. Go watch the movie. It's very interesting. Everybody's walking around in branded Burger King, Carl's Jr. t-shirts, and something else. They got so dumb by letting computers control everything, they were watering their crops with Gatorade and killed it all.
Oh, yeah. I remember seeing something with that.
Yeah, the only thing they had to eat was like lab-made meat that come out of a machine that you scanned a chip in your arm on to get your cheeseburger that you chose with your citizen credits. Go look at it. It's an interesting watch.
What was it called again?
Idiocracy.
Idiocracy.
Yeah. What it is, it starts out, it's a guy in the military, him and a girl, they get chosen to be like cryogenically frozen and wake up in the future. Something goes wrong and they wake up and it's like, it's insanity.
Yep. And they got in the movie, they got so mad when they wanted to stop watering the crops with Gatorade and put water on them.
Yeah, they thought water was poison. It's because what they had been,
it's what you've been made to believe until you're able to break that. You don't, it's very difficult. Here's the thing. It's easier to deceive someone than it is to convince them they've been deceived. Because to admit that you've been deceived is an ego thing. None of us, our egos do not like to believe I was an idiot, or I was wrong, or I made a mistake. You know?
Ego comes back to telepathy tapes. When you listen to these autistic children who have a higher consciousness that speak to each other, they tell you the first thing you have to let go of is your ego. If you have an ego, that you are not accepted into their higher consciousness.
But we all have an ego, that's for sure. Just a matter of where we're at.
And that's one of the reasons they can access it so much easier than we do. They don't have an ego. Goodness, we've been on here about 2 hours. They're probably tired of hearing us talk by now.
Yeah, I'm sure they are probably about tired of us.
We got our faithfuls out there.
Think about it, Sublime. Think about this too as well. Do you understand that the snake bites were poison? That it was something that was done It was a very bad thing. Do you understand that? If you do, ask yourself, who is the father of bringing out the vaccine? Who announced it? And bringing it out really fast, like at warp speed. Now, when I realized that I had been fooled, it was not easy. It's part of the waking up process. And I'm not disrespecting anyone listening in any way. I'm trying to help. The waking up process is not necessarily fun. Like Roxy here has called me or got on here with me before when we're not live, and she's crying because certain elements of her belief system
have been broken.
And she's crying and saying, I'm not crazy. You know, this is what I'm seeing and this is what happened, and everything's been a lie. And even Roxy's boyfriend.
Boyfriend.
He recently came to her and looked at her. I heard the story. Looked at her in the eyes and said, so
this is all really true.
Everything was a lie, and the things you've been talking about for all this time are true. You know, so it's not fun. Not fun, because then you really realize the depth of the problem. And I've been doing this for 15 years, trying to bring people to those understandings, and I've made great progress. I hear people talking about things on TikTok that I was talking about a decade ago, but it finally got out, and it finally is there. And it's like, wow, the reverberations of my own voice a decade later.
And guys, I haven't always been awake like this. I mean, Daniel and I are related. Everybody knows that. He's been telling me these things for years. And I had a lot of personal stuff going on, divorce, everything else. And when I finally woke up, I was like, why was I not listening to him all this time? And it blows my mind.
Yep.
And just passing through, my sister's messed up also on account of the snake bite.
Yep. Let me see. Where's just passing through's comment? I'm looking for it.
Right there, Curious Georgia.
That's it. My brother's all messed up over the snake bite. Yeah. If you look around you, you'll notice there's a lot fewer people around you now, and a lot of them were young that have passed. And it all is tied back to the snake bite. Now, is that not enough evidence? Well, he didn't know. Well, then he shouldn't have. The man is either a 3D chess player and more smarter than all of us. He can't be that and an idiot. It doesn't work.
That last comment there about him, we could have a conversation about that, but I'm not going to do it on here because I actually know somebody that had somebody to know something, and I could, yeah. I used to think it was cool that he was that smart. I got different opinions now.
Yeah, he's a placeholder is what he is. Anyways, guys, we have been here over 2 hours, so we're going to get out of here. This has been way better live than I thought it was going to be. If y'all guys would go over and subscribe to us on TikTok.
Hit the like button.
And also
have a fantastic weekend.
Hit the like button for me. Go ahead and do it real quick. Please advise nicely when you do it. Please.
Share it with somebody.
Yeah. But the biggest thing you can do is share it.
When you're out there in the world and you're talking to somebody, I know somebody mentioned earlier that you have to talk about like surface subjects because people kind of look at you like you got 3 eyeballs. I get that. We all do. Try to find one topic that you think is mild enough that you can have a conversation with them. and the gears will click, and maybe because once in a while you got to help people pull their cord to wake them up, and I think all of us that are awake are supposed to wake the others. So reach over and nudge somebody real easy. Y'all have a good weekend. I hope your weather's beautiful, and we'll see you on Monday.
And Sublime, I love you, my brother. And just keep listening. And yeah, the snake venom. Yes, that's right. That's right. I love you, and I love all y'all guys. Thank you for all being here. Thank you for the moderators that were here today helping out. And thanks to Miss Kim for helping out, being here, and Roxy. And we miss our sister Shannon, and we certainly miss our brother Dan Kennedy. I love you guys, and please share the video. Try to contribute in some way. It ain't easy doing this. We'll talk to you again soon. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, Supernatural Show. And next time we're going to jam, and I ain't listening to nobody. We're going to start it out with the jam session. All right, guys, we'll see you later.